afternoon, and how are you today? My name is Grace Effiong, and I am your host as usual. Welcome to today's webinar. If this is your first time joining us, sit down, relax, and we have a lot to unpack as today's topic is quite interesting, where we have multiple interests from different diversity, which is both the lenders and the borrowers in this instance. And we are going to start off with an introduction, and while other people are joining, so that we are able to keep to time. So with me, I have a special person joining as usual. I don't join alone. And I have him, he's no other person than Mr. Mustafa Otaru. And as of today, he is the Chief Product Officer at Sterling Bank, and he's currently leading innovation across payments and also lending, investment, and the SME services. So with no more further ado, I'm just going to have him give us like a brief introduction beyond what I have done already. So over to you.
I First of all, confirm you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you so much, Grace, and thank you for having me. How do we start? Common mistakes that can damage your credit profile and history, right?
Yes, please. Okay. So I'll just start with running us through the important things to take note of during the session, and then we will talk about the different the agenda of the meeting or the webinar, as we all know it to be, and we'll proceed from there. So for these, we are just going to talk through our highlights, which is what Lensware do. Most of us on this call are very, very familiar with what we do, but I can see we do have a couple of customers for our customers, right? So we would proceed to the next part. Our outline today is we're going to introduce ourselves, which is already done. Then we're going to talk through the understanding credit profiles and why they matter. Then from there, we're going to move towards talking about common credit mistakes and their hidden impacts. Then we will go through how lenders assess creditworthiness in Nigeria, and then we'll talk through how to build a strong credit profile before we reach the practical tips to fix past credit mistakes. And then we'll now have our Q&A with Emo. He's popularly known as Emo. So we would go ahead as usual. We want to keep in time, and I've already introduced myself, and I've also introduced Emo to the team. So what's the biggest objective of today's webinar? And the webinar is pretty much to be able to empower. Yes, we know that borrowers always go apply for a loan, and they are not typically aware of some of the mistakes they might have done that has damaged their credit history. So we want to provide more insights and also like actionable strategies for them to be able to identify. For those that are yet to make all of this mistake, they can correct it. For those that have made all this mistake, they can correct it. For those that haven't, you're able to prevent all these credit and mistakes and then pretty much improve your credit profile. What are you going to expect during the session? You should expect more detailed breakdown of the most common credit mistakes and how they can affect your credit score. You know, in Nigeria, most people don't think there's anything like credit score. They go around, oh, I've taken a loan for fair money, I'll pay whenever I pay. In fact, the popular notion in the market is that they treat loans as if it is government funds, which is my right, pretty much. But they did not know that in some instance, some of the systems talk to each other, and the more you're able to get credit loans without doing all of the repayment, not following through what is expected, that would affect your credit score. We're going to talk about and explain like the criteria lenders use to evaluate credit worthiness. So when a lender tell you you're not eligible for a loan, what criteria could they have used to be able to determine your credit worthiness? Credit worthiness in this instance is like your eligibility. Do you fit to take? Are you able to meet up the criteria required for this loan? Then we're going to look at the key factors that influence credit score in Nigeria. Yes, there are credit score models that are applicable, the general ones, if you're going to use the different C's and the 5 C's. However, in Nigeria, there are some specific things that influence your credit score. Then we'll talk through the step-by-step strategy for building and maintaining a strong credit profile, and then also real-life examples and case studies relevant to the Nigerian market before we proceed to the Q&A. So this is more like a did you know? So despite every Nigeria having the right to free annual credit reports, only about 10% of the population have their data with the credit bureau. And this is because most people haven't even taken a loan, and which means that they will not have any data with the credit bureau. In addition to that, most lenders will have instances where customers say, oh, if I give someone a loan and the person defaults, I go to drop this data with credit bureau. As a point of getting this dropping this data with credit bureau, they do not pay me anything for dropping the credit. But when I go back and want to run checks to get data for some of my customers, I am then charged. This also helps. This also puts some lenders in a difficult position, and they decide no need to drop credit bureau data with credit bureau, which is a bad and practice. All credit data default is supposed to, every lender is supposed to be registered and also be able to report data to the credit bureau. But in this instance, it now made that only 10% of the people or the population have their data with credit bureau, even though there might be more. And that's because most lenders are not reporting. Most people haven't even taken a loan because they don't know they can take a loan in all of those instances. So I will go to the understanding credit profiles and why they matter. So we'll talk about what is a credit profile and what is a credit score. Before you talk about the common mistakes, you need to even understand what do they say when they say your credit profile, and what does it mean when you're talking about your credit score. So for your credit profile, it's more or less the record of your credit history that is being kept with the credit bureau. So if you've taken a loan from lender A, and that lender has at the end of every month submits his data to the credit bureau, they will have that information about your credit, the performance you did. Oh, did you repay your loan in time? Did you repay the full amount? Are you owing? If by the next month, let's say the loan tenure has exceeded by this month, by the next month you still have like more data, or you didn't fully repay. But by the next month, by the time they are going to report again, you're able to see you have fully repaid. They now update the data to carry all of this. Now, for any lender that comes on board to come and get data for and run a check on your own name, or you're using your own details, in this instance, it can be something very unique, like a BVN. It can be your email, it can be your phone number. They will be able to get the data or the report that shows that this is how Grace has performed previously. Then it also includes like your personal details, your credit account. That's it's more or less like your payment histories. Or do you have any credit card? Do you have any outstanding balances, which I've just mentioned? What was the loan tenor? How did it perform? Did you repay? Did you not repay? All of those information feeds into the credit bureau, and any other lender can pick up that data and know what you did from another lender. Also, it also acts like a financial snapshot. You know how we go about taking pictures? It's almost like financially, they are booking and keeping a record for you, like how you have your birth certificate. This serves like a financial snapshot for lenders to almost review, and then they can now determine what your behavior overall is. So from your activities from other lenders, another lender that picks up your data can tell and be able to ascertain, okay, what is this person's behavior when it comes to repaying a loan? How does is the person willing to also repay? But because beyond having the ability to repay, lenders are also trying to check and measure what is your willingness to be able to repay. Then what is credit score? It's more or less like a numerical summary representing your credit worthiness. It is in numbers, it's just system being able to present each factors that are pretty much looking into, and then summing them up into numbers, and then using that to represent your credit worthiness. And then it's also gotten from your credit profile. And as usual, like we've mentioned, it's used by lenders to decide, oh, do I want to give this person a loan? Do I want to increase the interest rate? If the person has a good credit score, do I want to reduce it? If they're seeing that, oh, this person is a very good credit, has a very good and strong profile, I want to reduce the interest rate I'm offering this person based on the history they've had with other lenders. How is your credit score calculated? Now, we've gotten this diagram from FICO. So we're looking at your payment history, we're looking at the amount you've owed, you're looking at the length of the credit history, you're looking at the credit mix, and then you're looking at the new credit. What does this mean? So the 100% that you have for your credit is divided and into multiple sections where you're checking, okay, what is the one-time payment that this person has done? Did the person miss? Was he late? And they rate you over 35% for that. You're looking at the amount that the person even know. This talks about like the total debit and the credit that the person used, right? Also, it weighs about 30% to your credit score. Then you take a look at the length of the credit. How long did you take this credit? So now, for instance, where you're getting a loan that is supposed to be financed in 6 months, and then you're taking almost 2 years, ultimately, this length of your credit history reduces, because if it's a loan that was supposed to have been financed in 6 months and you've taken almost 2 years to pay, you have scored less for the length of the credit history. Then we have the credit mix, which is almost like what is the variety of credit types you've taken. Okay, how responsible are you in managing credit that has been given to you? So at this point, they're taking a look at the amount that you've spent, the length of the credit that you spent, and also the mix as well. Then also the new credits. What is a frequent credit application that that you have, or you have done pretty much in the past. So we'll go to the next item. Why do they matter? Why do they matter? And all of that. So in this instance, I want to now bring in Emo to pretty much, we've spoken about every aspect of the credit. I want to ask him now, why do you think all of the things we've mentioned before actually matter, and how do they really influence the credit score?
Thank you very much, Grace. So when we say credit score and why it matters, it does because what I normally call your financial health, just the way you go check your BP or you go check your vitals on the medical side of things, your financial health can give you a lot of indication, especially as an individual, or even if you're going to start a business if you're going to run a business. Like you've displayed, for instance, we also have what we call the Spectre score. It just generally tells me that your behavior, your lifestyle, your income, the kind of even your integrity. It's a measure of your integrity. So your ability to keep to promise or to deliver. Um, and in some instances, even outside of financial services, you want to go into certain kind of partnership. Some partners are interested in, okay, this business we want to do businesses, or this individual we want to go into a partnership with. How healthy is their financial how healthy are they in terms of financially responsible, in terms of their integrity, and in terms of everything. So that's core that you have displayed. The way the banding is from 300 to 800 to from 300 to maybe 400, and the other band of 400 to 600 to 800 and above, and all. It's a clear indication of how healthy your financial status is, or your financial integrity is, or how responsible you are with your financial record. So you look at things like your bank statements. Even beyond your bank statement, what kind of items are you using your money to do? It's also very, very important. So gone are the days where we just glean financial statement like, okay, money comes in, money goes out. No, it is about what are those things you're even spending money on? Because what you spend money on might be an indication of, it's not that even might be, it's an indication of your lifestyle, is an indication of your interest, is an indication of your general behavior. And that on that basis of that, the right judgment can be made to say, okay, these are the kind of person I want to lend to. These are the kind of need, because I know if I give them the money, I will be able to collect the money back in terms of repayment and all that, because nobody wants to give money out and be struggling to collect it back. I think so. These are the
Absolutely.
reasons why your
Absolutely.
credit score
Thank you
or your
for that.
credit worth is very, very important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So now it's easy for me to talk about credit score and credit worthiness and all of those things. Before, I had no idea. As a matter of fact, I didn't think taking a loan made you a good person before I was in the credit space. I was of the opinion that if you take a loan, it shows that you have a bad habit,
Mm.
or why do you need money? Why are you living above your means? Until then, I got to realize that wait, it's actually a way of helping people to finance their life. Why should I have to spend 2 years to save for a money to buy a car when I can get a loan, buy that car now, which in turn makes my life easier, and I can make more money and repay for that loan, pretty much get an advance. And I didn't really have any idea in terms of credit worthiness and all of those things. And not even taking a loan and not even having a credit profile itself, it's also another flag, because really, you've been an adult. Are you saying that you've never ever needed any money at all? At some point, everybody needs money to pretty much upgrade their life. Thank you so much. So I will just go into the next aspect as well, and which talks about how to check your credit score in Nigeria. So before we dive into what we have in here, I don't know if you can provide more context for me from your experience and most best practice that you use when in terms of checking your users' credit score.
Okay, I'm going to try to answer this from what we've done. From, for instance, because due to my experience with two major products, Spectre and Snapcash, for instance, Snapcash, which again, powered by Lens Square. For Spectre, for instance, we've tried to simplify how you can easily get your credit score, right? If you log on to the new Spectre platform that we have today, it just asks you for key informations, right? Your BVN, your few things around your financial habits, your statement, and it goes at the back end. The algorithm just do all the thing behind and gives you a simple evaluation of what your credit score is. It tells you if you're worthy or not. But by standard and by the traditional ways at which we've always checked, there are so many channels. So beyond the digital side, like the FICO one you also displayed, it's one example where you can easily check how worthy you are in terms of credit. Then there's the traditional way of the credit bureaus where you can always go and validate. I think there are about 4 or 5 of them in Nigeria, from the credit registry to the credit bureau, CRC, and of course the credit central bureau systems as well. These are um, regulatory certified organizations where you can check your credit history. And you said one very important thing earlier: not having a credit record is in itself a problem, and that is rather cultural. So you're not alone in that your initial position of, okay, you don't want to take loan. It looks as if you're not responsible.
Possible.
Most of the, you can't even, somebody has a notion that you can't be rich if you're not using credit. Yeah, somebody had jokingly said it, and I really resonate, because the truth is, if your record does not exist anywhere, you
Okay.
can't tell if you are responsible with money or you are not responsible with money. So for a lender like me, I will be worried that, oh, this is a first timer. How am I sure this information, you know, is good? So to your question specifically, it's good that you have record with this credit register, so that at least it makes it easy for further lenders to be able to make decision based on the record you have. So to check specifically, if you're not doing it digitally, from places like Spectre Score, we also have another platform we call the Seed5 Score as well, and as well as other channel where you can do that digitally today. So you use the traditional channels like the registry that we've all mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you very much. You pretty much covered every aspect that we have here, which is how you can just check your credit score pretty in Nigeria. Thank you so much. I will just go into the common credit mistakes and their hidden impacts. Right. For this one, well, this is literally where the headache is. Oh, I missed the payment, but now I have paid for it now. Why can't you give me a loan? The problem is that at the point where you took 2 years to repay a loan that was supposed to be repaid in 1 month, literally, if I had given that money to another person, or if you were the only source of income I was supposed to get, I probably would have died. That is the late or missed payment. How does it impact people's credit score? Yeah, you're seeing instances where people just, the lender already know that you're not reliable. because it's only an unreliable, or you can't keep your word. Because if you
Mm.
come and tell me I am going to give you your money
Yeah.
XYZ date, and then you're giving me 2 years later, for crying out loud, 2 years later, it's at that point, the children that we're giving birth to, they're already 2 years. People have
Ready
gotten
in school.
married. They're even in school. They're
Mm.
even in school and all of that. And then we have the other part of another mistake that people do make, which is high credit utilization, which is almost using too much of the credit that they have available. Now, yes, it's a problem if you do not have a credit profile, or if you're not yes, but it's also a problem when you're taking too much credit, because it now means that you are living above your means, If for everything you have to purchase, you have to get credit, it means that you're literally living above your means, and that rates almost like a flag, because it means one day, what if you do not have the capacity to repay this loan while you're pursuing all of this? And then we have like maybe applying maybe new credit products within a short span, where you're trying to get like multiple loans and all of those things within your credit a short span. We have shutting down long standing credit accounts, even if unused. I don't even know why people do all of this, where you have an account where you're building your scores and then you decide that you want to change it.
Mm.
Really don't understand that what's going on there. If it's an instance where you lose, there is no way you can lose all the details of a particular account that you probably won't even remember, maybe the name you used or the phone number you used, right? So yeah, or ignoring your credit report and missing errors or fraudulent activities. Now, to speak to that part where you mentioned about the statements speaking so well about customers, you see, when some lenders pick up statements and then they're saying that you're, for every time you have money, you're going to bet and you're gambling.
It's a
Now,
problem.
people don't think that those kind of reports puts on their statement, puts a particular perception, or gives the lender an idea of the kind of person you are. I don't think I want to give anybody my hard-earned money for you to go and gamble with it. The main cause of me giving out a loan is so that I can get the money back. I mean, I'm in business to make profit. So if I'm seeing that you're using the money to gamble, what day that gambling might even backfire. And even if you're cashing out at the beginning time, one day it probably will backfire. And also, the last one is agreeing guaranteeing loans. I want
Mm.
to ask a question with regards to these guaranteeing loans. How often do you use this in your decision making for guaranteeing loans?
Um, I would like to touch on the point you made around before I come back to this.
Awesome.
Point you made around betting and gambling. It is very, very important. And then, like I keep telling everybody, we understand that lending is a business of risk, right? And I always tell people, take your credit history as if it were your health condition, right?
Okay.
One very important thing, so that I can emphasize that your point, how betting is serious.
Mhm.
Assuming without betting, you would have scored maybe a 700 credit score. With betting, that can significantly drop to 300 score. And that is, you are on the borderline of you can't access money. Yes. So
Absolutely.
that's how serious it is. So it doesn't mean that we might not give you money. It means
Mhm.
that you probably are in need of 500,000. But because of that, your score, I rather will give you 20,000 or not even give you at all. So that's how serious those kind of activities can impact your credit history. So I needed to emphasize that.
Thank you.
In terms of guaranteeing loans, back to your direct question, the score or the impact we've seen over time, and we continue to learn patterns and the behaviors that we see, is becoming very less significant, right? Because
Mhm.
it's in itself a lot of risk. So you guarantee somebody a loan.
Okay.
So there are two risks involved. I guarantee you, yeah, because maybe I trust you, I feel you're my friend, you're, and the person go default. Your
Okay.
name is already there. It's going to impact your score. So you have to be careful when you're guaranteeing someone. And the person that has been guaranteed, of course, he has person miss payment or is oversized, multiple loans has eaten into his payment pattern or default, and all that. He's already paying penal charges. He's already doing all sorts. That's in itself a bad thing. So from experience, for certain kind of categories of customer, it also depends on the health of the customer we are talking about. It could be a
Okay.
critical input into your score. It could be a very insignificant input into your score. Except you trust anyone. If you are the one guaranteeing, right? Please be very sure of who you're guaranteeing, because that has a reverse impact on your credit history or your credit worthiness.
Thank you. At this point, the question is, can you really trust everybody to be their guarantor? Yes, there might be some friends, that one or two friends, but then again, you never know what might change anybody's mind at the moment.
The
And
part
all of
again
that.
is that you should be ready that once the person, because again, when you guarantee someone,
Mhm.
right, before they come to you, it means the person, there's already a damage. The damage here is that the person must have missed 3 months before we start calling, oh, Tomo, this person you guaranteed has not been able to pay for 3 months. At that point, there's already a dent.
With
So
them.
you can't even avoid it. So even if you have the capacity to start paying for the person, there's already a dent. I don't know if you understand, because some of this thing I'm saying
Yeah.
it because of the to understand the implication. And like
Okay.
I said, your credit or financial health should be taken seriously as much as you do your health
Okay.
checks and all that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's not as if I was guaranteeing a lot of people before now, but this already even adds to it. At this point, I would even say, yes, I'm coming to guarantee a loan for you, but you might have to provide your bank statements as well. It's not based on we are family members, we are friends, just so that we don't have any impact. So we're going to touch base on how lenders assess creditworthiness in Nigeria. We've covered a bit of it, and I don't know if you have more to add beyond this, because we've covered the credit bureau, we've covered about your credit score and all the things that come in play with your credit score. We've covered about your income and debt profile, and how you're pretty much checking their debt to income ratio. So I don't know if you have any other thing to add
Yeah.
for the participants.
So if you see what we've done with Spectre and Snapcash, for instance, I think we normally go beyond this traditional sources of data to profile
Mhm.
now, and thanks to technology and availability of advanced data.
Mhm.
We might not yet be there 100%, but at least we do some good level of analysis or decisioning using several data. There's a large segment of potential borrowers in Nigeria, and beyond the credit score, the traditional credit score, there's of course, the transactional pattern, which again you can see within bank statement. There's also if you're a salary earner or you have a consistent flow of cash, that is
Mhm.
also a factor. Then mobile payment. There's one part we also miss out.
Mhm.
Do you know how you pay your waste bill? If you like, don't be paying your waste bill. Don't be paying your light bill. Don't be paying all those details are part of the things that goes into credit check, right? So beyond the fact, that's why I mentioned earlier that what you also spend your money on in your statement, the analysis of where the monies are going are very critical in those decisions. At least technology helps us well on that today. It picks all those things, all those patterns. So what am I saying? Utility bill, your telecom behavior, even your airtime consumption, it's a critical data set that goes into your credit decision.
Credit history.
Then one other critical one, right? Your social and behavioral analytics. Not many people know this, right?
Hmm.
Um, for instance, I'm not saying people should not party hard, right? If I see that, if I glean your social platform, and I sort of, again, also taking note of data privacy and every other thing, but again, it's me you want them, it's me that is putting money on the table, so I'll do everything possible to ensure that the money I'm giving you is secure. Is
Exactly.
that your online transaction, for instance, your rental payment, it's also part of it. Or you spend in a casino almost every Friday. Those are like your social behaviors that I pick, into those decisions. So these are in terms of your other sources of data or alternative sources of data available that goes into beyond what the credit register and what the other traditional stuff gives us. These are the new source of data that we also do. And one other thing that, especially for businesses, if
Okay.
you're doing a business lending, is that we need to ascertain your level of cash flow. Again, there's one thing I've picked up. Your cash flow
Mhm.
is not the same thing as your revenue, right?
Yes.
Be doing a lot of 1 billion, you have a billion transaction flow, or maybe your turnovers rather. The way you are turning over the money, your money
Mhm.
at the end of the day, when you aggregate it, is looking like on your statement that you've done about 1 billion naira, for instance, for businesses. We need to
Okay.
also ascertain the detailing of what are your operational costs? How are you able to run your business profitably? And one other important thing is there's a certain level of cap you must ensure that you are not
Okay.
exceeding, right? All
Excellent.
those details that also all those data that we also get goes into how we evaluate your credit worthiness or your credit status. This is also for businesses, just so we also put that in context. Because when we're talking about lending, it's not just individuals, we're also talking of people that want to set up the business and all. I'm talking about business. If you are an individual lender, right?
Mhm.
And you think oh, that was you, and you now want to lend as a company. No, that your individual behavior fits into how, because it's the individual that is managing the business.
Managing the business. Yes.
If you can lend and default as an individual, the business you also manage is also at risk, and no lender will have all the information together that will give you money. I just thought to bring the two together because they are very, very important. Because you see some people come and say, "Oh, it is me that default here, but this is my business, and my business is XYZ Limited. Yeah, I am Mustafa as an individual." No, because you are owner of this business, it will impact your health on both sides, your credit worthiness on both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that insight. As a matter of fact, your business is being, if you're going, even if when you go to a bank and you're trying to create your business account, it's tied to an individual. So your business is you. And whatever
Yes.
attitude you have in your personal life would definitely
Mhm.
be a reflection on your business as a whole. Thank you so much. I would move to the other parts, which talks about how to bring and build a strong credit profile. So we focused on all the things that could go wrong in your credit profile, all the things that you should watch out for. Now, this is for how then should they be able to build their
Mm.
credit profile? If you can help us with this.
In building a credit profile, I think one habit that people must imbibe is, for instance, like I mentioned earlier, your bills. Please, if you were to pay NEPA bill, pay it. If you want to pay it on time, your waste bill, all those small, small bills, even your estate bill that they will be begging you to pay sometimes, it is part of your behavior, right? Please pay your bills very, very well. And again, don't apply for multiple loans. Apply
Hmm.
loans within the capacity of what you can pay, right? You also see people, they go to Kuda, they get one loan, come to Spectre, get another loan, go to Snapcash, collect one loan. At the end of the day, if you have those multiple loans and you do not have capacity to pay, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Because again, you must have, I think by standard and by regulation, your credit utilization must be below 40% of your income, isn't it?
True.
So you try and maintain that. It's very, very important. And one other very important thing, we talked about how you can check your health check, how you can check your financial score or your
Mhm.
credit score, and how wealthy you are in terms of your credit history. Utilize and check the platform I've mentioned. Spectre is available, to check your credit score. We have other one like Sit5. I think also on Snapcash too. That's also helps you. You can also evaluate, put in the right information and see what returns in terms of what you're worth. Those are easy ways on your hand that you can really check. If you don't want to go through the traditional channel to check. And again, build a healthy banking transaction. You see one thing that people do. you know that um, um, somebody mistakenly send money to you, right? For I'm just making an example. A bank mistakenly um, credit you, and they call you to refund it, and you don't refund it. Please try and refund it, right? Yeah, if you refund it, they'll be happy that you refund it. I know sometimes some of those little mistakes happen. You see some people as they see those money, they're like, oh God, God has buttered my bread. No, it's if you don't do the right thing, because at the end of the day, what will happen is that they might force a lien on your account. And the reason for the lien on your account will be boldly written there. You get it? But again, if you refund it, if you return it, and again, it's also there that, there might not be a need for lien, for those kind of lien to be on your account. So all those little things are very critical in terms of building the habit of strong um, credit score. There's one other thing I want to talk about when we're talking about this. You see, on especially our experience with Snap Cash and Spectre,
Mhm.
the option of repayments can include card tokenization, for instance. What we
Okay.
see customers do is that they've used one card to tokenize their repayment option as a repayment option, right? In another few months down the line, they change the card. You put yourself in trouble. Yeah. So you think you're doing the bank or where you lend from is yourself you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's a problem. And there's one story I normally refer to. Some people, some getting to a point now where your BVN can be blacklisted. And what that means is very critical, right? Where if your BVN is blacklisted, it means you are out of the financial ecosystem. You can't transact anywhere,
Anywhere.
right? I've had a situation whereby somebody claim he's doing a debt claim, like we even presented the debt certificate and
Mhm.
everything. We went ahead, went through due diligence to do apply the insurance, apply for anything. Of course, we have to block the BVN. And suddenly the person resurrected, when he couldn't access um, credit score. Some of these behaviors, it will impact your credit history. And there's one other behavior, again, that people should also stop, right? Because it will help you build a strong is when people use your BVN on behalf of, not just this one is beyond guarantee now. We talked about guaranteeing someone. That one's even
Mhm.
better, where you are guaranteeing on behalf of somebody. This one, people give their BVN for
Mhm.
other people to lend. Do you get what I mean? So that's also in itself a bad behavior, right? Because at the end of the day, if the person you're giving your BVN to lend for, it is you, the owner of the BVN, that the lenders will be chasing, to come and pay. So those are some of the few things I think, from my experience with at least with Spectre, Snapcard, we've seen, in terms of how people can enhance to avoid some of these little mistakes I've talked about. They're not little in the real sense of what I mean. I mean, you can avoid it. That's what I mean by little mistakes.
Little.
Because the impact on your financial record can be very, very grave. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have like a few comments for the BVN. See, the BVN one, first we had to I had like conversations and had to trace one person, and we found out that the BVN wasn't even like me giving someone my BVN. He sold his BVN for money.
Mhm.
And he'd say, "Oh, but I'm not the one that took the loan. But why are you selling your BVN? How do you even wake up and sell your BVN?" Then there are some markets as well on places like maybe Telegram, where they
Mm,
sell their details and give it to people, and people are using it to go and take a loan. Oh, it wasn't me, but it wasn't me. Eventually, he went to find the person that he sold it to, and then had to repay the loan, because we're like, you're trying to get another big loan from another company, and you sold your BVN to one person like how many years ago? This was like, let's say, when did that app go live? About almost 4 years ago that he sold his BVN to somebody, and now he's a big guy. I can pay the loan. So what if I repay now? BVN has already been blacklisted. You're owing debt of 4 years.
mm,
And it wasn't even a reasonable amount. It was a 5,000 naira that has gotten penalty from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4
Mm.
from a stolen BVM. So people don't know that their financial information, the way you protect your debit card is the same way that you're supposed to protect your other details as well.
Mm.
And for the debit card, it's another level of fraud. Some people deliberately would use that debit card, take loans from multiple companies at a
Mm.
particular time, and then
Mm.
go ahead to report those cards as stolen and get
Mm.
a new card, because they know, of course, lenders are checking the expiry date of that card,
Mm.
because some people no, most people don't give out loans to cards that are going to expire within like 3 months, close to when the loan is
Yeah.
due. They
Mm.
want to give you leeway in case you default. They can still attempt to charge those cards as well. So it's crazy. I'll just go to the next, like, as much as possible. So we've covered a lot of things here, which is even the financial discipline. We've talked about this.
Mm.
What are you spending your money on?
Mm.
And then now we are doing the educating your people on the credit scoring and all of that. And let's go to this other part. I will just skip through since we've discussed them in a nutshell. Don't worry, the slides would all be shared with you as well. So now this part, okay, even if you do not know what to do, how else can you manage yourself? You can also be able to, maybe if you've taken a loan from somebody and it might be the interest that is a problem, why don't you just negotiate with the person? Can I repay the loan in XYZ period ahead of the due date? Lenders are always reasonable from my experience. At least my customers are very reasonable.
Mm. Yeah.
So they're always open to, okay, come and repay it in 1 month. Some people will go as far as saying, if you repay all the money in 1 month, I can waive the penalty that you've gotten. So options are there. You can you can negotiate, set up payment reminders. I know they are getting the reminders. As a matter of fact, I have another experience where customer took a loan and deleted the app. Somewhere at the back of his mind, I have deleted people's app. There's nothing people can do, right? Then magically, somewhere, he went again to another lender on our ecosystem, on board, created an account, attached a new card, and then of course, because we do cross-function our
Mm.
ecosystem, everybody in the ecosystem benefits from it, and it was debited. It was an error, but he deleted the app, and we're like, okay, at least we know that you people attempt to delete the app as a way of not repaying. Good
Mm.
thing deleting the app doesn't take away your liability or any other credit that you're supposed to repay. And also pretty much being able to take loans that you can afford. Don't go and shoot yourself. If you cannot
Mm.
afford it, why? Why? Um, we've spoken about this, your credit utilization, try not to take too much loans at the same time from multiple places. Emma has talked about this. You're trying to take loan, you're taking from Pampe, you're taking from here, you're taking from Fair Money, you're taking from Rare Money, you're just splitting yourself across as well. I think that is also because they have a feeling that systems don't talk to each other.
Mm. Cheddar.
It
Mm.
has to be that they have that feeling that systems don't talk to each other and they can pretty much go and defraud lender A and come back to lender B. But sorry, these systems are now talking to each other. We have credit bureau, we have all of those things in place that are checking all of that. And with all of this, you should be able to build up your credit profile. So now if you have any question, apologies, I am also into the meeting and the conversation and I didn't drop that, please use the Q&A. We have a Q&A session for you to drop any questions that you have. You will not be able to speak into the call, but you can drop questions. Just click on the Q&A session and drop any questions that you have. Thank you. So I'm going to ask a few questions and all of that. So amongst all the common mistakes that these borrowers make,
Mm.
right? Which one would you say is the most common from your experience, the most common of all of them?
One of the most common is missing your repayment date. Um, so you collected you're supposed to pay um, on the 25th, for instance, and you miss your payday, right? That is very, very common. And of course, most times you now see them trying to struggle to meet up, or sometimes they miss it totally for the next 3 months. I think there was one very point you made. Once you have a problem paying back, it's good to engage the lender. And there's what they call loan restructuring. Loan restructuring is basically replanning your your repayment schedule. right?
schedule.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can have it, and that can be extended for you. It's far better for you to be missing repayment date. You know, sometimes your cash flow or your circle of income, right, might change. You get it. So, and again, you don't now have to pay as so. Those are the very common one that people uh, do, and I think Nigerians do those things, and some I think are deliberate, some are ignorant. You know, people just take loan with not with the intention of not to pay. Right. So I think that is wrong. If you don't want to pay, it do you more harm
Mm-hmm.
than than you ever can imagine. And
Imagine.
yeah, so on the digital side of things, again, I also see now that people will be bringing in different statements. AO is the one applying for loan. They'll go and bring in, they are training their statements on how to apply for loan. You can't game the system anymore, right? It's before that it used to be in and out. It's no longer in and out. We have technologies now that glean the whole statement. Yeah. It doesn't just take what do you call it?
Inflow and then
Yeah,
outflow.
no, in through and out through. No, 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 no.
Mm-mm.
It looks at those behaviors. So I see people now, it's also a common mistake people do. You can see them when you even take a manual look at their financial statement. You can tell that this person has been training their statement for the last 6 months with the intention to come and take a loan. That is also a common mistake, that people may ask. Some of these things sound like, oh, wow, how? But we see it, right? We see it, and God forbid, you don't want your name to be put in a blacklisted bucket, right? Because once it enters there, it enters there, and it will impact your history. So those are the few common, among other things, where people also
That's,
go and collect multiple loans. That
yeah.
is above the capacity of what they can pay. In that order, I think these are the mistake. From my experience that I see people coming. There's one other one that people do now: community lending. Yes, let me bring that out. Because we are within a community, maybe
Mm-hmm.
community of friends and everything. Maybe we are cooperative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you take a loan on behalf of, maybe because of the community, because of the worthiness of the community, a loan is extended to you. Then one person or two-person default, right? It will impact every other community member. Yeah. So please, let's also be mindful of that kind of community group lending and all those kind of things.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yes.
I'm fully much aware of that, where you do community lending and group guarantee. It's
Guarantee.
funny.
Yeah.
So all of us are guaranteeing each other, such that if we default, if one person defaults, the
Mm.
other people are being held accountable. But what they don't know as well is that it affects their score, because it's
Mm.
going to go into record that, oh, you guaranteed someone's loan somewhere and the person did not repay. So thank you so much for that. I'm still, well, it's more or less like I would say the bringing of people, and also the mentality, how people think. I don't think they know right now that technology has advanced so much that we can literally catch you. It's not, they're used to the traditional way, where most lenders don't even do partnership. Most
Mm.
lenders don't even report their data to credit bureau. Now people are seeing the benefit of all of those things. Lenders are saying that, it's the same customers that are coming to take loan from me and defrauding me that are going somewhere else. So they're looking out for, oh, I want to partner with lender A. Let us even talk to each other, so that if this person has come and seen you before, you can let me know, and all of that. Again, our platform also offers that. So that's one key benefit, that, yeah, even if I'm trying to give a loan to this person, I have a place where I can find out if this person has been found in at least one ecosystem, and all of that. So moving away from that again, is there any alternative data source that we can use to assess like a borrower's credit worthiness? Anyone that you want to touch on?
I think we talked about it earlier. The alternative one, one that is so rich right now is your telecom consumption. Yeah. Um, if you also see that even some of the telecoms are doing borrow me now and all those things, those behaviors they are using to extend to you. Those are very critical alternative data sources that we use. I also mentioned your bill payment cycle, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
know that, for instance, your rent, you're consistent with your rent, you're consistent with your water bill payment, it's a good data source to use. And everybody is on social media and everything. Somehow you get the social media usage pattern, behaviors, and everything, and it helps. Those are like from the way away from the very traditional. Those are the common ones that is being used today. And again, AI, machine learning,
Mm-hmm.
has really,
Yeah.
really made this
Oh,
thing so very, very easy. Before you know it, the decision is in front of everyone, and that's what is translated to the scores that you get. So beyond your traditional bank statements and every other thing that goes in, it's those alternative sources. We talked about it earlier. Yeah.
thank you. So
Mm.
someone is asking this question. I don't know whether I should throw it to you to give them the answer, or I can answer it to
Mm.
myself, which says, what support does LendSquare provide to lenders for scoring customers? I know you know the support.
Yeah. I mean, again, I've been partnered with LensSquare for a while now, and I know the level of efficiency and the level of work that you guys do to support us, as a partner. In fact, it's beyond the partnership is that we've become so close, as in so tightly. There's no better way to talk about partnership than a good example of a partnership than the one we have with LensSquare. And I know the work that is being done beyond education to say we educate customers to ensure that the right things are done, they provide the right document, they provide the right details for apply for loan and everything. Is the fact that we even have a flexible payment plan, right? You choose your plan, you know how you can pay. And again, if you know that you're going to not be able to pay, you have the option to come back and do a restructuring. That is available. That's a good way to do that. So beyond financial education and everything. Then if you also look at us again, Spectre to Snapcash, is the fact that because of the obligor limits on, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, Snapcash, if you cannot take 500 to 2 million as Snapcash offers, why not take a micro loan option, which is again Snapcash or any other product that we have speaks to. On the basis of that, if you take that, you can start building your credit history with us. And again, um, you repay, and of course, the more you repay, the more you're able to graduate, to a more higher loan option that you can take. So those are like the key three things I know LendSquare and us we do very well in terms of the kind of support we give to ensure that people with low credit score can start building up on that. Again, not taking loan in itself is not a safe place to be. You need to take loan, try and take a loan and pay,
Mm-hmm.
so that at least you maintain the record of habit that entrusts for that opportunity to take a loan when you need them to do. And don't take a loan when you don't. Again, part of the financial literacy is the fact that, especially for businesses, people that want to run micro businesses and all that, don't take a loan for business and you can use it for your personal utilization, because it's going to impact your behavior. Those are some of the key things in financial literacy that we try to let people know. On Spectre, for instance, we put your score on your face so that you also know where you are, and it lets you know how to enhance your credit score, and also how to question it if you notice a problem
Mm-hmm.
with your score, on how you can challenge it. And I know today that within the credit score cycle, if you raise a dispute to say this is not your score. Classical example, right? I have a
Mm-hmm.
customer that wanted 5 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we discovered that the credit bureau returned the fact that the customer was still owing 30, was it 35 naira, one very minute money, with a
Bank.
microfinance bank that he took the loan while he was a copper. You get it? And that record still exists, right? And at the end of the day, credit score was flagging it. You get it? So, and he claimed he had paid off that loan. At the end of the day, he needed to raise the dispute, and of course, it was cleared out. But he had to pay it. Apparently, he didn't clear it actually. So the 35 naira was actually still waiting for him to pay. And this was years back. So back to your point around, we know these records. People should also know that those records we're waiting for you till whenever you need a loan again. Of course, he was able to clear it, and so that some of the education we provide to support customers on what to do when certain things happen. So these are part of the key part of financial literacy or credit literacy that we provide to
Thank you. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much. And you've also touched based on how do you fix a bad credit score for the second person that asked the question. And if you don't have a credit, please, if you don't really have a need for money, it doesn't mean you should go and borrow money just because you're trying to build a credit profile. Because if you go to borrow money, you're still going to pay an interest rate, right? So we advise that if you do have the need, as against maybe you're taking the loan from maybe like a friend, you might try using a lender to be able to build a credit profile, just so you have a credit profile for when the need comes for you to get like higher amounts or something very better. Because right now, most people just default, let me ask my friend, let me ask my family member. You can't try using a lender and all of that. So I've answered the question number 2. The next one is that when a user gets caught up in blacklist, is there a way to come out? Yes, and yes, there is a way to come out. First of all, you have to go and repay those loans. If it is a loan that you've defaulted on, you have to go back and repay all of those loans and then write a letter to the lender, and the lender can either decide to remove you or not. That is the only way, because in reality, it's almost like an apology. You've offended somebody. You've literally offended somebody, just like how you'd have apologized to somebody that you've wronged somebody, and you need to write a letter requesting for that. So yes, you can be taken out if you've been blacklisted. You just have to go and correct what you did wrong, and then write an email, letter, all of it to the person, and they can attend to that.
Let me chime in there, Grace. You're very nice, and I know you're trying to say it in a very nice way. The truth about it is to avoid it. Avoid getting into that, because whether you write the apology, they remove you, you pay, that dent is already there, right? It's going to impact your credit score. So let's get that. Well, yes, you've been forgiven, you've paid back, you can then now go and do your credits, but that record is still going to be there, because there is certain amount you might still want to go and do in future, or you want to even add yourself into a group saving, or you want to do a business. That record is still going to be, oh, this person has had this history.
Okay.
Even though that it might not necessarily impact it, but please take notes that this is here. You get it. So please, what I would say is try as much as possible to avoid getting into that mess. If you owe and you have a repayment plan, please keep to schedule. If it's going to change, please reach out to your lender. There are always a way out. Restructuring is there. Even reduction of interest is there. Depends on the condition or this. Even some lenders, it's also not good, because some lender give you discounts to say, okay, if you're going to pay me now, I might give you X percentage of discount to pay now. But if you also have that record, it's still a record. They might not use it to judge you, but somebody might use it to judge you one day. So that's really the point I'm trying to make. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I don't think we'll be able to take the remaining questions, and we usually keep to time, exactly to time, so that we don't keep anybody waiting and then people don't have all of this. But what we usually do is that we take all the questions and then we answer them and send feedback to everybody as well that have joined the call. So we've taken all the questions and then we will answer all of it. Please, for the person that is unable to log into your account, can you help send your email or send an email to support@lensquare.com for us? You can also drop your email on this particular Q&A. And I want to use this opportunity to thank everybody. Every time I always wish we could take longer time, but we literally don't want to keep anybody beyond as part of our rules. Keep to time, start early, finish early. And I'm so
credit score.
Exactly, like our credit score. Remain consistent and keep. Thank you so much, Emo. I have taken note of all the questions and then we will answer them and send responses to everybody. Thank you so much for everybody that joined this session. I really do appreciate. And I will see you guys next quarter. see you guys next quarter again, as we do this every quarter. Enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.